the Java Academy. We are welcome once again to the Java Academy, and then today we are basically getting started with our bank statement. So, the bank statement is simply a collection of transactions over a period of time. So, this is the template you are actually using. So, the most important thing we are trying to do is collect all these transactions, fix them into a PDF statement, and then send that PDF to the user's email address. So those are the things that we are interested in achieving. So to get started, I think I will just itemize all the things we want to achieve here. Okay. So retrieve lists of list of transactions in a date range, given an account number. So you provide an account number, and then you can get the transactions that account number has been involved, that account owner has been involved in over that period of time. So after doing that, you then need to like generate uh, a PDF file of the transactions, and then we now send the file via email. So these are the things we are actually going to do. So this bank statement, I've actually put it in my service package, and then okay, let me put it inside the service, okay, service implementation actually, and then here, okay. So I think the first thing I would want to do is make it a component. I would also do an all acts constructor. So I have to make use of constructor uh, dependency injection. So here I would just have so the first thing I would need is the transaction repository to to fetch our transaction details. So here I would just have a private transaction repository. Okay. So yeah, let me get started with this. So the idea, like I said, is to return a list of transactions. So let's return the list of transactions first. Let's see that it works. Transaction. Let's say we call this generate statements. Okay. So this method is going to require three parameters. So it requires an account number, like I said, giving an account number, right? So let's do string account number. Okay. Then we also would need two dates, the start date as well as the end date. So in this case, I would just so in order to avoid certain issues of like like the date format not matching. So sometimes from the front end guys might send a an invalid date format. So yeah, I'll just allow the guys to send a string, the date as string. Then I'll handle the conversion of those dates to of those strings to dates. So I'll call this my start date, then string end date. Those are the three things I need. Okay. Let's not forget the idea is we are checking for account number, right? And then we are checking the transactions this account number was involved in within these two periods. So that's basically what we are interested in. So to get started, the first step is let's say the list of transaction. I'll just say transaction lists will be equal to the transaction repository dot find all. Okay. So then the next thing we need to do here is I would then use strings to actually get the exact data that I need. So in this case, I will just do Okay, so in this case, I will just pass it to a string. Okay, then I'm going to filter that list. Uh, I'm going to filter the list by account number. Okay, transaction dot get account number dot equals the account number that this guy that is coming in from this method parameter. I'll just pass this in. So basically what I'm doing here is that I'm filtering the whole list. So don't forget that this find all method from JPA returns a list, right? So that list, I'm basically filtering it. I only want all transactions involving this account number. So that's the first filtering condition. Then the second will now be another filtering condition to filter from this start date. Okay, so again, I'll do transaction, pass in that lambda function, then do transaction dot get created at. So if you remember this created at from our entity class, this timestamp here, so that's what I'm actually making use of now. Okay, so the get so dot so let's say it's equals. Okay, and then in this case, I need to okay, let me convert these strings to dates now. So I'll just do local dates. I'll call this start will be equal to local dates dot okay dot path. So I'm going to send in this string now. So I'm going to use let me say start date, then provide the kind of format that I want. Then I use ISO date. So with this, I can get, I'm able to convert this string of dates into a local date format. Then the second one I'm going to just do is for the other one, local date, then end. So I have to do local date dot path again. Then I pass in my end date as well as the format I want to make it of. Yes. Okay, so let's come back here. So we want to check when the start date okay is equal to the so when the get greater that is equal to the start. So I'm using the start which is of type date, and then the second filtering will now be okay, I think this equals should there is let's say you can try is after okay. Let's say it's after. Let's say the different options we have here. Okay, so we have a number of options here. So I could it depends on what you want anyway. So let me say it's after, and I'll just pass start date. So with this, I'll just start date actually to restart. So with this, I can fetch every uh, so I can fetch every transaction that is after a particular date. Okay, yeah. So let's say it's equals. Let me return back to it equals anyway. So we see what this equal, and then passing starts, and then filter again by the other condition which will be transaction. The transaction dot gets created at, and then this will now be uh, I can also do is equal, and then do end it. So I would have preferred the I would have preferred the is after should have been more trust. But then let's use this one, and then I would encourage that we try all of these on our own as well. So after fetching all of these guys, I need a terminal operation to add them to a list, and then we have our list of transactions. Okay, so now let us even test what we have. So I want to return the transaction lists. So let's see if we are able to fetch our list at this point. So I will just run this guy again. So wait while the code runs, and then meanwhile I can then okay. So here I have a valid account number. So I have a valid account number to test with here. Okay, so I have a valid account number to test the with and the start date, the end date, and then I have my URL here. So I'll just wait to confirm that the application has started. So once it's started now, I can then run this and then see. Okay, it says not found, so it means we've actually built the service class. We've not built a controller yet. So in here, I will just come over. I will add a class for the controller. I will just call it transaction controller. Okay, so the normal annotations, press controller, and the request. Okay, and then here I could just say bank statement. Okay, so at least we know I'll use all as the constructor since I'm making use of constructor injection. So I need the email, sorry, not email service. I need the transaction service or the bank statement service I created. So I'll just say bank statement, not this one. I need bank statements. Okay, uh, bank statement. Okay, then method itself, public list of transaction. Okay, generate bank statement. So, so in this case, I would use request param to actually send in values for these three guys, the account number, start date, and end date. So let me go back in here. So request param. Okay. So with this, I'll be able to provide the value as a parameter, and then my controller will pick it up from there. So I'll just say string account number, request param, string start date, and another request param. Let me break this down to smaller pieces. So I'll just do string and date. Don't forget that in our service class, we are converting the dates to local dates. So having done this, so I will just return a bank statement service, just generate this and then pass in all of these values. Okay. So the other thing we need there is a get map in here. Okay, so I think we are good now. So we'll just run this. So while this is waiting, so you see under this param section here, that is where I'm passing all of those information, account number, from date and start date. So let's say I change this to 14, yesterday's date. So I want to fetch transaction from yesterday till today. So I can save this and then watch out. So, okay, this guy has started and send the request. Okay, it says I have a bad request. So let me see what that is. So it says start date is not present. Okay, so I use from date here. I'll change it to start date. names we use here have to match what we are actually requesting for here. So in this case, I'll just run okay. So it gives me this. Okay, let me change this to 15 because I'm sure I sent a request today. So here we are. So we're able to fetch the transactions from today. Okay, so good. That's the first step now. So let's go back to the bank statement. So at this point now, we've actually uh, so at this point we've actually generated the transaction list. So the other thing I would like to do here now is to create a separate method. I'll call it a private. I'll say private void. Okay. I'll take sign statement. Okay. So this here it will just require a list of transactions. So, yeah. Okay. So here we are. So this is where the oh sorry I didn't provide the name here. I just call it like transactions. Okay. So this is where the process of creating the design comes from. So this is our target. We might get something close to this, we might get something. So, but then this is our target, and we'll work towards getting something close to it. So, at this point now, I would just say, okay. So, having done this, the first thing is to now design the size of the account statement. So as you can see, this is like an A4 paper size. So I need to specify that size. So yeah, I'll start by okay, or even before that, I think the first thing to do should be to like provide a file where this guy is going to be saved in. Okay, so to provide a file where this guy is going to be saved in, and I think I can do this here. So I'll just call this private static final. So you might wonder why I'm calling it private when so I think we should just give each uh, each dependency we need the exact level of exposure they need. So I think I only need this file here. So there's string. Okay. So the file is going to be saved somewhere on my system, and then based on my own system structure, so I believe this is where the file should be. So C referring to the hard drive itself, and then the users folder, and then the admin folder, and then okay, this case we need to use double slash here, double slash. So that's how we can add a slash into into a string. So with a single slash, it will be an escape character. But if we want that slash to actually appear, and then so in that case, we actually need to make it a double backslash. So and then admin, and I think documents folder. Okay, and then I'll just say my statements dot pdf. So this is the location where this file we are trying to generate is going to be saved, and then we've also provided a name. So basically, so make sure that this matches like any location on your own system as well, and then you provide any name as you wish here. So having done this now, the next step will just be to come over here and provide the size. So to provide that size, I basically want this, I'll use this rectangle from iTextPdf. So let's not forget that we've inserted a dependency in our code. If you look around here, so you can see this iTextPdf here. So we've actually inserted this dependency to help us generate our statements. So I will just close this and then come back here. Okay. So the rectangle is from iTextPdf. I will just say uh, statement size. Okay, statement size equals. So that's a new rectangle. So new rectangle. So here you now pass in the size of that rectangle. So in this case, we want an A4 size. I can use something called the page size from iTextPdf as well, dot A4. And then you have that size created already. Okay. So then the next thing I want here is the document. Okay. This document is also from iTextPdf. Let me do that again. Document from iTextPdf. So we create an object of that document guy and then new document. So this document we then state that this is the size we want. So you pass in this size we created here into this there. So I omitted that equal to here. Okay, so this we've made use of our statement size. Okay, so one more thing we need to do here. Okay, I think I should be making use of some login to ensure that we are on track. So I'll use that SLF4J here. Okay. So here at this point, I could just log this. So let's say selling size of document. So yeah, after doing that, then the next thing would be this output stream. So output stream, let's look at that. Output stream. This time from Java sorry from Java.io output stream but new file output stream. So it then parts in the file we created here. Okay, so this shows an error and then we need to handle an exception. So we do this and then we have this. Okay, so that's the first. That's so the next step now is to have a PDF right now. So get instance. So in here we pass in our documents and then our output stream. Okay. So here another exception as well. So we do this. Okay, so what we've done now at this point here is we specify the size. We've said in our whatever document we create, we want it to be of this size. And then here, this output stream here, we are saying that whatever data we stream from this transaction database, we want them to be inserted into these documents at this location we specified here. So here we actually just say whatever stuff we create into our PDF. So we say make use of these two guys, both the documents as well as the file. So write whatever we want into these documents, and the document will be saved inside this file and the location we've provided. So yes, after doing that, we then need this document.open. So with this now, we now start adding content into our document. All of these are just like background work to the real thing we are actually interested in. So after opening the document, so here we now start to add content. So in iTextPdf, there are different ways to add different types of content. You can add image, you can add a text, you can add a table, and so on. So, but in this case here, so if you look at this, so this is the first thing we actually need here. So we need this company name, which is a table. So that's the first thing I'm going to do here. So PDF table to create a table now. table. So let's call this bank info table. Okay. Now this will be equal to new PDF table. So in here we pass the number of columns that we need. We need one column. That's based on the diagram we based on this form here. So and then so every table will then have like a cell, PDF cell, PDF cell. So I think here I want a bank name. So it will now be equal to new PDF cell. So this cell is going to be inside this table. So in here, I'll just add so new phrase for the text I will actually want to enter, and then here I will just add the Java Academy Bank. Okay, so this is the first content we've added. So and then looking at this guy, I notice there's no border, so I'll just declare that I don't want any border. Dot set border. So I add 0 here. So by default, I think it gives it a border of 1. So then apart from that, um, background set border. So I also want to set the background color. But set background color. So just the base color dot blue. Okay. And then here I want to set a padding as well. But set padding to 20f. Okay. So the next thing is the uh, so the next thing would now be the bank. The if you see here, so below there's like an address for the company. So in there I could just do PDF cell. I will call this let me call this bank address. So this is the new PDF cell. So and then in this case I will just pass in this. I will just say grab any number, some address, Lagos, Nigeria. Then I would also need some of these settings here. Bank name dot set border. Then so sorry, it should be bank address now. Bank address dot set border. 0. Okay. So yes. So at this point, if actually declare the table, we've declared two different cells for that table. So the next thing I want to do is to insert these cells into the table. So I'll just do bank info table, which is this guy here, dot add cell, and I'm just going to add those two cells now. I will add the bank name, bank info table, dot add cell. I will add the bank address. Okay, so I think that should take care of this section here. So the next section is where I have this bank info here. Okay, so I think so I need another table for that. So I'll just say PDF the table, and that's a statement info equals new PDF table. This time I have two columns. So if you look at it carefully, there are two different columns, one here and this other one here. Okay, so So having done this here, I think the next thing I would want to do here would be the statement info dot maybe add set padding. Okay, I can leave this, then we'll see how it goes. If we need further formatting, we'll see it. Okay, so these are statement info, and then inside this table, I'm going to have some cells. So PDFP cell. So this here is, let's say, the customer info. So customer info here will be new PDFP cell. Okay, new PDFP cell, and then this will be the start date. Okay, plus uh, let's say from date. Okay, okay. So I think instead of just recreating a separate method, in order to have access to some of the things I had access to there, I think what I should do is bring these guys over here. So to make it quite long, but then so in here I'll just add my start date. Okay, I think I should add a new phrase here. So yeah, so here it's talking about the exceptions. I don't need to add here. Okay, so I can then remove this method. Yeah, so then we can come back here. Okay, so here we have our customer info. So after the customer info, I can just do customer info dot set border as well, set it to 0. Okay, then add another cell, PDFP cell. So this time around, I'm basically, so the way it works is you add this info here, then you need to add this one too as well. So I need to add statement of accounts. Let's say statement. Yeah, statements. Let's call it new PFP cell. So new phrase. And then in that place, I'm just going to have a statement of account. And again, this guy has no border as well. So this time, let's say our end date now. Okay, let's say update equals new PDFP cell. So new phrase. So let's say end date. Then this time add end date. Okay. So this start and end date are basically coming from here. Okay. So I think that should yeah. Okay. Then the other thing we need is like to stop this dot order. So then if we go back here again, so on this on that side we have the customer name and address. So we need to like get the customer name. So if we are getting the customer name, if you remember our transaction entity does not actually contain the customer name. Where is that again? It doesn't contain the customer name. So but we can use this account number to retrieve an account name from the user entity. So I'll just go back in here. It means I need a new dependency here. So I'll just add a private user repository, user repository. So, okay, so having done this now, okay, so I think we have a find by account number in here. So I think I can make use of that. So in here I could just say user equals user repository dot find by account number, and then we just provide this account number there. So that's we're able to get the owner of that particular account. So so after that I can just do string account number, and let's say customer account equals the customer name actually will be equal to user dot get uh, first name dot user dot get last name dot user dot get other name. Then okay, so we have our customer name. So in here now, I can just come over to add that add the customer name that I actually need. So I'll say PDFP cell customer name equals new. Uh, let's say customer info. I've used this guy already. Customer info. Let's just say customer. Let me call this guy a name. Yeah. So new phrase. Let's say customer name was customer name. So this customer name is basically that string we concatenated. We have this. So the other thing again is the name dot set border. Add 0 to it, and then the other thing we need to add here. Okay, I think if you look over here, but there are spaces here while we have the address here. So I could just add that space. PDFP cell space equal to new PDFP cell. So just an empty space. And then the next one will now be to add the customer address. So in the user table, we have the address as well. So I think we can also get the address as well. Okay. So to get our address is quite simple. We already have the user object already. So to do that, I could just create another cell. New place. And then let's say customer should be a string. Just do user dot get address. Okay. Here I can just do space dot set border as well. Here I'll do address dot set border. No. Okay. So with this, I think we should be done with this guy here. So our table here, we are basically going to populate it based on what we have in our own database here. So based on what we have in our transaction entity, okay. So we just come back to this guy Okay. So now we need to create the transactions table. So we need to create the transactions table, the PDFP table, transactions table, equals new PDFP table. So this column now, let's give it 4 columns. Okay. Then it will now have its own cells. The first one, let's say date. So the first thing is that we need the columns that have these headers. So the first one will now be new PDFP cell, the new phrase, and call this date. Okay. So then, and let's set the background color. Set it to base color dot blue. Then date dot set border. Add it to zero. Set it to 0. And then the description PDFP cell. Okay. So, let me say transaction type. So we can say new phrase. Okay. So in there, I'll just have my transaction type. Okay. Then the transaction type dot set background color. Okay. Set, set it to 0. Okay. So after this, PDF, so I think I need to also add address. So I need to, I don't need to add address. I think if I look over here again, okay, maybe amount and the status. Okay, so the amount should be there. Call it a transaction amount. Transaction amount is set for that. Set it to 0. I think just one more column left, which in this case should be the status. So PDFP cell, all this status, new PD status. So I need a new phrase subject here. And because set the background color, status, set border 0. So I think with this now, I am now done with the headers. So the only things that are now next is for us to now stream to fetch all the records that we've gotten from inside this list here, this transaction list, and then populate this table now with all the records that we have inside the list. So inside here now, I'll just make use of this variable name. Okay, Control C. So over here, Control V. Then for each now, so So that this helps me stream and iterate through every single transaction that is inside that list that we filtered out. But don't forget that we filtered the list already based on that account number, based on start date as well as the end date. So at the end here, so inside this for each now, I'll just add another lambda expression. Okay. So and then yeah, if I can then get all of those guys. So the first thing will now be the transactions table now. So for each column, I want to add that transactions table dot add cell. So I want to use this my transactions table here. I want to add a new cell. So if you have a record, add a new cell. If you have another record, add a new cell to it. And then those new cells will now add the X that we need. So the new cell is the date, right? So the first one here is the date. So what will now come next, since we've completed the four columns, the 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next cell that we create will have to come under this date. So this new phrase now to now just add our transaction dot get created at, which is when that transaction dot was made, then we convert it to string and we are good. Okay. That's the first detail we want to add. Then the next detail we want to add would now be to add another cell, a new phrase, and then we get the transaction dot. This is transaction type here, right? So we get transaction type, right? That's a string, so no need to convert. Then transactions table again, dot add a new cell and then new phrase. Okay, then transaction dot get transaction, that's the to get the amount. Get amount, that's our transaction amount. Then to string as well. Then the last one will be the status. So transactions table dot add is a new phrase, then transaction dot get status. So I think we are good now at this point. So the other things we would now need is to like provide all the necessary. So there are just some basic work. I think we have the statement info, which is a table, right? Then we had all the cells that are supposed to be inside the statement info. I think we had customer info, then statement info dot add. So statement info, sorry, info dot add cell again. So this will contain statements. Then statement info dot add end date. Okay. Statement info dot add said I think customer name now. Let's see. So these are the stuff we are trying to add. What's this? Customer name. Yeah, I think yes from here. So statement info is a table. So we need to add all of these guys in it. Okay. So we need to add customer name, name. Okay. I think this one should be add name. Okay. Then the next one would be to we had also added a space. Statement info dot add cell. That would be space now. Okay. Yes. So let's say statement info dot add address. Okay. So now what we have just done now is this is a PDF table, right? So what we've done is we've added all these cells into that table. So that particular table will now show us all this information now that we've added them into it. So that's the first step. So we need to do the same thing for transactions table as well. Or have I done that for transactions table? Okay, so I think to do it for transactions table now, okay. So here I will just add a transaction. schedule dot add cell. So here I need to add date, transactions table dot add. So what other cell are we adding? This is date, transaction type, dot, adding transaction amount to transaction amount, then transactions table dot add cell. Next thing we want to do is we add status. Okay, I think those are the four things we need to add into the transactions table. Okay, so having added this now, I think so we now need to add all of these guys into the table as into the document. So we've added all the cells into the tables. Then we need to now add the tables into documents. So we just do documents dot add. Then we add the bank info table. Okay. Then documents dot add statement info. And we do documents dot add, which will now be the transactions table. So we've added everything now into the transactions table. So let's run this now. So let's run this now and then we'll see how it works. So it's basically the same thing we've run here. So but then this time we want to actually see we have an error somewhere. Oh, okay, so we need to add the exceptions to this. So like okay, just to explain this, every method that makes use of another method that that uses some exceptions. So all methods like that basically inherit their exceptions. So this guy has to inherit the exceptions of the method we are calling from it. So let's run again. So we have done one step further. After generating the list, so we want to actually get the statement itself. So here, okay, so we have this guy running. So I'll send the same request again. Okay, so now according to the code now, what I have said is that we want our file to be generated inside this folder, documents folder. So I would find my statement.pdf. So come over here, documents, then look for my statement. Okay, so this is the file here. So I just need to run it now. Okay, something went wrong. I think I did not close the documents. Is important as well. So documents dot close. So let me run this again. So without closing the documents, we are still leaving it open for further changes. So that's why it didn't run. So but then now that I've added the close method, so let's run it again. So once I run it now, okay. So over here now, you'll see that my it's been regenerated now. And let me open it up and see. So yes, here we are. So there is appears to be okay. So basically we have the whole information coming out here. Okay. So and then we have all our records coming out as well. So these are the records we've actually sent on this day. Those are the records. Those are the transactions we've done. So I think we are good. So perhaps one error we could correct here is this. This guy is not supposed to have any border around it. And then it should also have like a label end date. So I can go back to the code, trace it. I think it's here. Let me go back and check it again. Okay, so it means there's somewhere I'm using that end date. I think this should be it. So did I add stop? Okay, let's see okay, anyway, we have these guys coming out just as we want. So this will now bring us to the last part of this. This will bring us to the last part of this whole stuff, which is sending this guy as an email to the user as well. So to do that now, we already have an email service, and then we have an implementation. So that's basically what I'm going to be using. So I'll just come here. So I'll do void send email with attachment. Okay, the email details, email details. So back here, I will just implement that method. Okay, so the difference between them here is this one only sends plain text, but in this case, we actually want to send a file along with our email. So um, the next step is to actually write that logic. So the logic is basically almost the same, so just with some changes anyway. So here I will do man message. Okay, my message from Jakarta mail.internet. My message equals Java mail sender dot create my message. Okay, then initialize. I shall initialize a mime message helper. Okay, so in here I will just add a try block. So my message helper will be equal to new my message helper. So here we are sending the my message, and then we require a multi-part. So you can see this other constructor here of my message helper. It requires a my message object and then a boolean multi-part. So when we set this to true, so we are basically saying we want to send a file. Okay, so let me add the cat clause and then we continue. So my message helper dot set from. So in this case, if you look in here, we already have this guy as the sender email. So I would come back here. Okay, so I'll just say sender email. Okay, then apart from that, I need my message helper dot set to. In this case, this will be the recipient. So in this case, we'll get that one from the email details dot get recipient. My message helper dot set the text. This will be our email details dot get message body. Then my message helper dot set subject. This will be email details dot get subject. Okay. So the other part will be to set the attachment. But before that, we actually need a file system resource object, like a file that we actually want to send. So file system resource file equals new file system resource, and then this will be new file, and then here it will now be the email details dot get attachments. If you look here, our email details, we have an email details detail here, where which sends an attachment. So that's the attachment we are making use of here. Okay, so okay, so then the next thing now would be mine message helper dot add attachment, and in this case we just send the file dot get the file name as well as the file itself. So, okay, so here we do Java mail sender send my message. I think we should be good. Okay, so maybe okay. So in here, just let me make use of some login here. Okay, so let me just make use of the login. I'll just do log dot file dot get file name dot sent. So this this email, this email is dot get recipients. Good. So now I'll go back to that transaction, no, bank statement actually. So in here, I'm going to actually implement, or I'm going to actually make use of that email service. So it means I need to add one more dependency here. That will be private email service. Okay, so I can then use that method to send this email. So to actually do that, so I need to build an object of email details equals new email details dot builder of email details dot builder dot build. Okay, so in here I'll just do dot so let me start with the recipients. So the recipients now will now be from the user, right? Dot get email dot subject. So you could just call these statements of account. Then we'll have the message body. Kindly find your requested kindly find your requested account statement. Something like that. Then after the message body, so what else do I need to send? The attachment itself. So the attachment now will be that file. Okay. So we have this. So the next thing we just need to call is the email service. But send email with attachments and email details. So we are good. So basically, we now have two different email services, two email sending methods, one for the attachment, one for without attachment. And I think we are now good. So the idea now is to do three things with just one API call. So the first thing is to retrieve the the list of transactions. The second thing is to generate the PDF file, and then the third thing is to actually send the PDF file as an email to the user who has requested it. So all of this will happen with just a single API call. So let's do this. Okay. So if I look into my logs, so it says here. So if you listen, you would hear my phone actually sounded. That's an alert on my phone that I've received that email. I've received that email, but I think I can also open that mail here. So I'll just do gmail.com. So from here you can see my statement of accounts coming here. So basically I'm using my email as a sender and I'm also the recipient in this case. So yeah, this is taking some time to load, probably due to some internet glitch. So but then okay, I'll come back to it. Okay, it's open now. And then here is the statement, just 1.3 kilobytes. I can download it again and then even choose to view it. Okay, so here it is. You can read from here as well. So here is our statement. So we see that it works now. Okay, so as a statement of warning before I leave, so if you look in here, I actually changed my port to 465. I was getting an error. So if you had used 587 and then you are getting like an error, like probably an SSL exception, so this is just what you need to do. Change the port to 465 and then enable this guy here. So once you set it to true, you enable SSL and set it to true. So I believe you are done. So basically, this is this the end of this statement of account series, and then the last two series will just now be on uh, securing the app, and then apart from securing the app, we also want to deploy to AWS as well. So thanks for following, and see you in the next recording.